but recently we are using these terms. Okay. So before discussing all these Internet of Things, blockchain, and data analytics, I will take few minutes to introduce you about the Industry Revolution. Okay, so the first Industry Revolution started in starting of 18th century, that is 1784. So before that, most of the products were produced by worker and hand tools. So during that time, the products were very very simple, and they were producing those items nearby their home in small shops. Okay, so over a period of time, when the population got increased and the demand for those products got increased, the concept of factories have been developed. Okay, so factory, what is factory? So factory is nothing but it is a place where workers gathers together and the machines were employed to produce products. Okay. So in the method of handicraft, that is by using producing items using hand tools, the entire product was fabricated by the people with hand tools. Okay, but during the industrial revolution, in the first industrial revolution, steam powered machines were deployed to produce items. Okay, but in second in industrial revolution started in 1870. Here instead of steam powered engine, electrical energy powered engines were deployed to produce items. Which helps to produce items in mass. That is, high quantity of items had been produced by using these electrically powered machines. And one of the biggest contribution for this industry 2.0 was Henry Ford's moving assembly line. Okay, and after that, in third industrial revolution, automation was the concept of automation was introduced. Here they were introduced robots to do automation process. So the robots were used for some tasks which we are doing repetitive, or some tasks which a human cannot use machines to operate. So in those kind of situations, robots were used, and the automation was actually performed by the computer controlled machines. Okay. So now we are in Industry 4.0, that is in the fourth revolution. So here, this Industry 4.0 is characterized by information and communication technologies. Okay, so here IoT plays a major role. So this converts it turns factory into smart. Okay, so how this factory becomes smart means it connects each and every machines and components and people using internet. Okay, and this concept of Internet of Things allows to create a cyber physical systems. So what do you mean by cyber physical systems? So these are nothing but the items, the production machines, workers, materials, components. So all those items are connected through internet, and they are used to help informed decision or more intelligent decision. Okay, and then by using this Internet of Things and cyber physical systems, we can able to duplicate the entire manufacturing systems virtually, and then we can take decision without affecting the production. Okay, so now we are in the fourth stage. So here you can see, apart from Internet of Things, there are many other techniques involved in the Industry 4.0. You can see here autonomous robots, simulation, system integration, and then cyber security, cloud computing, additive manufacturing, augmented reality, and so these are all other technologies which are also involved in Industry 4.0. Okay. So now we will come to this topic of Internet of Things. So I'll take a small example to explain what is the basic of Internet of Things. Now we are all having the smartphone, right? So why do we call this as a smartphone? So if you take before 10-15 years, we have the same mobile phone. But if you look at the functionality of the mobile phones, 10-15 years back, we used mobile phone only to make a call and then to text messages. Now within a single device, we can perform many operations, right? We can use it for playing movies, we can use it for playing games, and then we can use it for sending mails. We can do a lot of activities using a single device. So So this came into picture after the introduction of this internet, after connecting this device using internet. So when you connect the device using internet, then that particular device becomes a smarter. Okay. So the concept of connecting any device to the internet brings the device or object into smart one. Okay. So this Internet of Things enables communication between objects or devices. So some of the examples of Internet of Things are listed here. The first one is connected appliances like smart microwaves. So this helps us to cook food automatically, and then self-driving cars. So here, self-driving cars means there are two types. One is it is an autonomous car. Okay, autonomous cars without drivers we can drive cars. Okay, so here contribution of IoT plays an important role. Okay, the other type is one more kind of self-driving cars. You have heard of the term Zoom cars, right? So in Zoom cars, the owners, the cars will be leased to the Zoom company, and if anyone want to rent the car, you can go and take the rent, and you can self-drive that car. So that is one kind of business model. Here also, IoT plays an important role to completely monitor the behavior of the driver who rented that particular car. Okay. And the next one is wearable health monitor system. So now many of us have this Fitbit band, right? So it helps us to monitor our daily physical activities. Okay. And then smart factory equipments, wireless inventory trackers. So it suppose if you have these kind of trackers in the warehouse, it will completely monitor the movement of all products inside the shop floor or inside the warehouse. Okay. And then biometric cyber security scanners, shipping containers and logistics. So these are all some of the examples of Internet of Things, and we can use this IoT to automate any process. For example, if you take street lights, if the street lights are enabled with IoT, based on the sunlight, it can automatically turn on and turn off the lights. Okay. Similarly, we can use Internet of Things to monitor the performance of any machines. If there is any abnormal conditions, then automatically we can so the device will give alerts to the particular operator so that he can act proactively. Okay. So these are various functions of Internet of Things. So now in this slide, we are going to discuss how IoT works. Okay. So if you take any IoT device, it is integrated with the sensors. So here you can see there are 4 layers. In the first layer, the IoT devices are integrated with the sensors. So these sensors are the devices which helps to acquire the physical information. Okay. And then after collecting this information or data, it will be transferred to the Internet of Things platform through the network layer. Okay, through Wi-Fi or through internet, all the data collected from this sensor layer will be stored in this cloud computing platform. And then after that, here you can use this common platform for storing the data, computing the data, as well as you can do analytics. Okay. So after doing analytics, the information, the insights will be transferred to the application layer. It could be transferred to some of the applications, whichever we require. So in the first layer, the data is observed, and then in the second layer, it is transferred to the data storage layer through the internet network layer, and then finally after analyzing the data, so it will be transferred to the application layer. So this is the basic function of how the IoT works is described here. And there is one more term called the gateway, right? So I'll explain what is the use of gateway here. And so whatever the data we are acquiring using all these sensors are analog data, so we cannot directly transform this analog data into cloud. So these data should be converted into digital form. Okay. So there is a system called digital acquisition system, which helps to convert all these acquired analog data into a digital data. And through this internet of, so the IoT gateway. So this is a device which collects the transformed digital data into the cloud. Okay. So so first the signals are acquired from the devices and then it is stored in the cloud through IoT gateway. Okay. So after that, here analytics comes into picture where the collected data are analyzed and then the insights are transferred to the mobile devices. So this is how IoT works here. And in the slide, you can see what are the devices used in Internet of Things. So the first one is the sensors, the physical devices which is integrated with the the sensors which is integrated with the objects. Here, objects could be machine or some other devices. And then gateway, just now we discussed, and then cloud. Okay, so these are all the three devices involved in Internet of Things. And then IoT can be classified as the following categories by whether it is sending message or it is receiving message. So here in the first category, you can see things that receive data and act on it. Okay, so it will receive the data. So based on the data, it will act. Some of the examples are 3D printers, wearable devices, smart TVs that collect data from the sensors and take action based on it. Similarly, the things which can be collected from the devices, some of the examples are motion sensors, moisture sensors, light sensors, and then so these sensors collect the data and send to the cloud platform, and then finally decision can be taken using appropriate data analytic techniques. Okay, so there are uh, sometimes we can have the combination of both these things. Okay. So now we will discuss what is IIoT. Okay, so this is nothing but industrial Internet of Things. So this is the subcategory of Internet of Things, and most of the functions are similar to IoT, except a few functions. And the all the benefits, whatever we are getting through IoT, those benefits we can get through IIoT, that is industrial Internet of Things. And so this emphasizes the integration of smart manufacturing machinery, AI-powered automation, interconnectivity, and advanced data analytics, so which enhances the machine-to-machine communication. Okay, so so this IoT enables data acquisition and in a much faster way, and then we can analyze those data to extract some good insights as well as to take some intelligent decisions. Okay. By using the analytic techniques, we can optimize various manufacturing and commercial process. So to improve the safety, cost savings, and improve productivity, efficiency, and some other streamlined operations. So one of the example is one famous tire company. They uses traditionally they check the pressure of tires manually, but now they have introduced IoT to measure the pressure of the tires. So now the productivity of this tire manufacturing company has been increased after the introduction of IoT. Apart from apart from delivering tires, these companies are also some other services like so because these companies have sensors data, right? Sensor data from tires, right? So by using those sensor data, it did some analytics and it coaches the drivers how to reduce the fuel consumption. Okay, so how to drive in a better manner. So those kind of coachings are given by this tire company, and then this IIoT can help companies meet their lean manufacturing goals. So it is nothing but here the IIoT continuously monitor the usage of all resources in the manufacturing companies, right? So if the resources used unappropriately, then it will immediately give alert. So by that way, we can immediately take decisions. Okay. So in that way, it helps us to meet the lean manufacturing goals. Similarly, it is used for predictive maintenance. So this is one of the application of IIoT in industries. So it continuously monitors the performance of each and every machines, and if it finds if there is any fault is going to occur, immediately it will alert to the concerned operator. So the failures will be avoided. Okay. So this kind of IIoT helps to reduce the downtime. So by reducing the downtime, it helps the organization to save millions of dollars. Okay. So this is the application of IIoT, and So here, one more application is it gives more visibility throughout the manufacturing, because all devices are communicating with each other, right? So we can get a complete picture of the manufacturing process by incorporating IIoT into our manufacturing systems. And then it connects all employees from the lower level to top level. And then one of the company, it gives reports on this implementation of IIoT in manufacturing sector. So they told that they have almost spent $178 billion in 2016, and it is expected that it will grow 29.68 percentage and until 2020. Okay, so there is a lot of scope in IIoT in future. So now we will see the difference between IoT and IIoT. Okay. So functionally both are same, but still there are some difference. Okay. So IoT generally it is used for household and commercial sectors, and IIoT is predominantly used in industrial sectors. So here the sensors which we are using to collect the data are more delicate, but here the sensors whatever we are using in industrial internet of things are very robust, because we are going to integrate these sensors in large machines which may have higher vibrations. Okay. And then it increases the IoT is used to increase the efficiency, improve health and safety, and create the improved experience. So this is important. So IoT helps to increase the experience of the customers. But if you take IIoT, so this is less user centric. This is especially used in industry, not for personal usage. And if you take IoT, this is much less sensitive, because suppose if you use IoT uh, 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 to control your home related activities. Suppose if there is any mistake, it will not create any problem. Suppose if you are using IoT to operate your lift or operate your lights or closing the doors, so some activities. So if there is any problem in IoT, that will not make any problem. But if you take IIoT, so here the entire process is controlled by using IIoT, right? So here, if any problem occurs, this will create a more serious problem. Okay, so this is a major difference. And then some of the applications of IoT are home appliance, wearables, and uh, uh, phone wearables. And here IoT, some of the applications of IoT are heavy machineries, transportation, smart cities, automation, factories, and healthcare. So here, so now you can understand the basic difference between IoT and IIoT, right? So now we will see some of the applications of IoT and IIoT. So one of the major application of IoT is smart cities. So IoT is the key enabling technology for smart cities. So now people are expecting all services should happen within a minute. So people are finding difficulties in managing people. So IoT helps to improve the quality of life, and it also increases the efficiency of operation. And so these devices are embedded in into the physical structure infrastructure, that is buildings. And then it can be integrated with the street lights, and then water meters, and then traffic signals uh, to improve the performance of the operations of all these systems. And then so it is mainly used to optimize various operations, and mainly it is used to take informed decisions, and then improve the quality of the life. And so here also I have given some of the benefits of IoT in smart cities. Here, so this is used for air quality monitoring, traffic monitoring, light control systems, and smart parking systems. And it is also used to monitor the water systems. So these are all some of the applications of smart cities using IoT. So now we will see some of the applications of IIoT. The first application is manufacturing. So as we discussed earlier, the entire manufacturing systems is integrated with smart sensors. So here manufacturing systems include machines, workers, warehouse, and then material handling tools. So all these comes under manufacturing systems. So all these assets are integrated with small sensors, and data are extracted from each and every devices, which helps to improve the performance of the entire manufacturing systems. And so this will help us to prevent the defects and downtime. Okay. So since this is continuously monitoring the process of manufacturing system, if there is any defects in the system, it will immediately inform to the operators. That is why it reduces the downtime and maximize the equipment performance. Okay, so this helps to maximize the performance of each and every equipment. So one of the example is if you take welding robots. Okay, so there is a welding tip, right? So in the welding tip, the length of the welding tip is around 5 centimeter, and we should change the uh, welding tip when it reaches to 0.8 mm. Okay, so here the operator don't know when the particular robot welding tip will reach 0.8 mm, so they will periodically go and change the welding tips. Okay, suppose if they are going to that particular workstation, and if they find that the length of the welding tip is 1.8 sorry 1.8 centimeter, and so they will immediately change. But we can use it till it reaches 0.8 centimeter. Okay, but they don't know, they don't have the facility which informs them accurately when it reaches the 0.8 centimeter. Okay, now after the introduction of IoT, the messages, the alerts will be given to the operator, and the operator immediately go and change the particular welding tip. So here the usage is improved, right? So likewise, this IoT helps to improve the performance of each equipment, and then cut warranty cost. See, here we are saying that in each stage, smart sensors are integrated in each and every stage of the processing stations. So in each stage, the processing is completely monitored. Suppose if there is any defects in any one of the stages, in any intermediate stage, so it will be removed from the production line. So at the end of the production line, you will not get any defective products. Okay. So here, if you take a huge lot of the products, the defective rate is very, very minimal. So if the defective rate is minimal, means you will not get any more number of warranty claims. Okay. So automatically it will reduce the warranty cost. Okay. And then it boosts the production yield. And so obviously, if you satisfy all of these things, finally you will get a highly satisfied customer experience, right? And then apart from manufacturing, this IIoT is also helps in transportation and logistics. Okay, so this is a important element in the supply chain management. So the function of this element is to transport items from suppliers to manufacturer, or manufacturer to retailers, or retailers to customers. Okay, so this main function is it transfer items from one place to another place. So to transport items from the supplier to end customer, it has to cross multiple entities. So many malpractice may happen in between all these entities. So the IoT helps to monitor all these movements, and it will try to avoid those kind of malpractices. And so IoT with the geofence enabled location intelligence and AI deliver greater efficiency and reliability. It improves the service quality and reduces the downtime, and enhance the safety and reduce the cost. Okay. So here one of the disadvantage of the disadvantage of having this IoT in transportation and logistics is we can get more quantity of data, and so the data management is the biggest problem here. And then the other problem is data security. Okay, so now in the following slide we will discuss how these kind of problems can be resolved. Okay, and then here we can see the application of IIoT in healthcare industry. Nowadays people want customized therapy. So here IIoT is deployed from the patients to hospitals, and it captures the IIoTs, the sensors captures data streaming in real time from the Internet of Medical Things. So similar to Internet of Industrial Internet of Things, we have Internet of Medical Things. Okay, some of the examples of IoMT are wearables and other medical connected devices. So these devices helps to monitor exercise, sleeping pattern, and other health habits, and it also enables to diagnose some of the diseases, and it also suggests some treatment plans. Also, it improves the patient's safety, and it also monitors the patient's workflow. And apart from that, it also monitors the activities of the staffs in the hospital. Okay, so the the integration of this IIoT in hospital industry optimizes the entire streamline in entire process in healthcare industry, and it is also used in pharmaceutical manufacturing process. So the introduction of IIoT will reduce the manufacturing cost of drugs. So similar to health industry, it is also used in retail industry. So here IIoT helps to understand the buying pattern of the customers. So it will recommend the customers to buy the items, or it will suggest the customers to get some kind of discounts or those things. As well as in a retail industry, IIoT connected devices like RFID inventory tracking chips, cellular and Wi-Fi systems. So these are all used to monitor the inventory of that particular retail warehouse, and immediately it will alert the manager to place the order. Okay. So, retail industry, IIT is also used in energy systems. So here it helps to improve the reliability, efficiency, and sustainability of electrical power systems. It can also help the operators to detect any problems that happens in the power system, and it will alert the operator to uh, uh, to monitor that difficulties, sorry, faults. Okay. So here I have summarized the benefits of IoT and IIoT. The first one is improved efficiency, and then second one is better human productivity. So here most of the employees are connected with IoT, right? So it will find out the so this will help us to find out the employee engagement, and this will also help us to measure the performance of the employees, and then it reduces the downtime. It is used to control various activities remotely, and it is also used to increase the security of the systems, and so it will also take smarter decisions. Okay. So now, till now we discussed the various applications and the various benefits of IoT and IIoT. Still, there are some challenges in IoT and IIoT. The first challenge is interoperability. So here we are integrating many devices, and we are getting information from a different type of machines or objects or devices, right? So here we cannot say that all devices have the same kind of architecture. Okay. So we need to find out a common way to communicate with each other. So by using some common API calls, we can communicate with each machines. Okay. And the second important challenge in IoT and IoT is cyber attacks and data theft. So here, by using IoT, we are collecting data and we are storing it in a common cloud platform. So there is no surety for the data safety, right? So anybody can access the data. So this is one of the major challenge that IoT is facing now. And the cyber attack is also an important challenge that IoT is currently facing now. So here, one of the example is distributed denial of service. So predominantly this IoT is affected by this kind of attack. Here you can understand how it attacks the IoT. In this picture, you can see there are cars are moving in the road. Suppose if the cars are coming from this way, it will definitely affect the flow of this cars, right? So similarly, this DDoS attack means it unnecessarily create traffic in the network. Okay, so for each web services or any internet has some limits, right? Any server has some limits. So this unnecessarily will create more number of requests, and as the result, we can the particular server may got disturbed. Okay, so this will discredit or damage the particular business by a competitor. Okay, so this is one of the major problems that companies which are all using IoT is facing now. So here I have listed the level of service is likely to suffer in one of the following ways. The responses to request will be much slower than normal, and some of all requests may be totally ignored. The website is responding too slowly. The website is unresponsive, or the user has problems of accessing in the website, and internet connection uses if you are target. Okay, so some of the targets where this DDoS attacks are given here. Internet shopping sites, online casinos, and any business, any online business you can see. So here, the only way to solve this kind of cyber attack and data theft is blockchain. Now we will see how this blockchain will help to to save the data for IoT. So here I have listed the benefits of using blockchain in IoT. Now already we discussed, right? So IoT collects huge chunks of data from the devices, and it stores in a common platform. We already discussed there is a chance of data theft, and then there is a chance of cyber attack. So this blockchain will completely avoid this. And in IoT, it is a client. It has a client server system. Okay, so all the devices are connecting to the cloud through IoT gateway. Suppose if the server got infected, then we cannot get any information from that particular server. Okay, so this is one of the other problem with the centralized IoT. Okay, so now and one more thing is the maintenance cost for this kind of centralized system is higher. So these kind of difficulties, these kind of drawbacks should be avoided by using this kind of a peer-to-peer model. So here, instead of this client-server model, we can duplicate the data in multiple systems. Suppose if there is any problem in any one of the system, we can retrieve the data from some other system. Okay. So and some other capabilities of blockchain will be discussed in the next slide. So here the characteristics or features of blockchain is listed here. So blockchain is nothing but it is a distributed and decentralized immutable ledger. Okay. So now we will see all these features one by one. So distributed means here the copy of data will be distributed across the stakeholders in the blockchain. So I said earlier, if any problem happens in one node, we can retrieve the data from the other node. So it is completely distributed across many participants, that is participants in that particular blockchain network. And then it is anonymous. So anonymous means here the transaction will be visible to all the stakeholders. Whatever transaction happens in that particular blockchain will be visible to all the stakeholders. But the thing is, we don't know who did that particular transaction. And then it is time stamped. Time stamped means so whenever the transaction occurs, it will also take when it occurs. So those kind of it will give the history of various transactions. And then it is unanimous. That means suppose if you want to perform any transaction, it should be authenticated by the all stakeholders in that particular blockchain. Okay, and then it is immutable. So here this is one of the important feature of blockchain. So immutable means no one can change the data. Okay, so everyone can view the data, but once the data is added into the blockchain, we cannot change it. Okay, and then it is the data will be secured because all the data will be stored in the blockchain as an encrypted mode. So no one can go and change the data. And it is some smart contracts are used. It is a kind of program which is written inside the blockchain, which helps to automate the transactions. Okay, so we will see what is smart contract and how it will work in the coming slides. Okay. So now you understand the main features of blockchain, right? So here, actually, this concept of blockchain was used by the Bitcoin to resolve the issues of the current banking system. So some of the issues are now we are transferring money through online, right? So here we are incurring some. There is some intermediaries to transfer money from one person to another person. But in case of blockchain, there won't be any such kind of intermediaries. So we can directly transfer money from one person to another person, and so there is it doesn't involve any transaction cost. So we need not give money to the third party who offers this kind of online transaction. And then double spending is the another problem in the current banking system. So here, what is double spending is we can use the same transaction ID for multiple times. Okay, and so this should not be done in case of money transaction. So once the money is transferred to the other person, it should not be used by me. Suppose if I transfer money from my account to my friend's account, the money should be debited from my account and it should be added to the credited to my friend's account. So I cannot use the same transaction, and I cannot reuse the same money. And financial depressions. So it is nothing but many people borrow money from banks as a loan. So here the banks don't have the history of any of the clients. So they can the customers can show the fake documents, and then they can get the money from the loan from the banks, and sometimes they may not able to return back money to the bank. So that kind of problem may occur in the current banking system. And then bank fraudulence. So these kind of issues can be completely resolved by this blockchain technology. So since it has a centralized, there is no centralized power. So the stakeholders, whoever or participated in the blockchain, or the owner of that blockchain. So everyone has the equal rights to take decisions, and there is no private ledger. So anyone can see the transaction of anybody in the blockchain, and then there is nobody can hack and nobody can change the transaction details, and there is no double spending. Okay, so these are all the advantage of important features of blockchain. So now we will see why we call it as a block. Okay. So here it is a collection of recent transactions. So in each block we will have a list of transactions, whatever happened, and these transactions are verified. Okay. So whatever the transactions available in each block, it is completely verified, and it is stored as a sequence of chain. And these blocks are cryptographic hash linked blocks. So I will explain what is this, and then so here each blocks are connected through this block hash codes. So any block contains three information. One is the data, transaction data, along with the timestamp. The second one is hash code of the current block, and then hash code of the previous block. Okay. So here in this picture you can see there are three blocks are shown here. Block 1574, 1575, and 1576. Okay, so each block has its own hash code. Okay, and then within this block you can see there are three transactions, and there is the block hash is given here. The thing is, each transaction, the transaction details will be converted into hash code by using a hash function. Okay, so it will completely encrypt the data. Suppose if you want to retrieve the data, you have to give the proper combination of input. Otherwise, you cannot get the transaction details. So you cannot do reverse engineering. You have to give appropriate combination of the input to retrieve the transaction data. So this process is called, already I said, no, there is no reverse engineering is possible. So here we have to solve some mathematical puzzles to retrieve the data. Okay, so here this is actually this mathematical programs or mathematical problems or puzzles are solved by the entity called miners. So these are the entities who solves complex mathematical puzzles to identify the combination of input, correct combination of input to convert the hash coded information. Okay, and so this is called a proof of work. That is the solving mathematical puzzles to identify the right combination of the input. For example, if the hash code, for simplicity, I'm saying, suppose if the hash code, the created hash code is 32, and I'm saying that it is the addition of the input is the addition of five single digit number. Okay, so here you can create n number of different combination of single digit numbers. So whose sum is 32, right? But the thing is, we can find out the appropriate combination to open this lock. It is a kind of number lock. So we have to give the appropriate combination of input to find out to retrieve the information. So that is why we are saying that the data inside the blockchain is completely safe. It is secure. Okay, so nobody can simply go and hack the data. So they can hack the data, but they can get the hash code of that information, but they cannot get the actual information. Okay, by if they have the hash code, but they have to give the right combination of input. So this blockchain completely secure our data. And now let us come to this point of proof of work. Okay, so once the miners solve this complex mathematical puzzles, no, so this hash coded information will be spread across different people in the network. So once they solve the problem, uh, uh, they send the solution along with this particular transaction to the other members in the blockchain. So here, sorry, not other members, to the other miners. So there could be many miners in that blockchain whose main function is to validate the transaction. Okay, so that verified transaction will be transferred to all the miners in that particular blockchain. And once all the miners validate the particular transaction, then only it will be added to the blockchain. Okay, so now here you can see the difference between encryption, decryption, and then hashing. Okay, so here if you encrypt the encrypt the data by using decryption, you can retrieve the data. But in case of hash coding, hashing algorithm, suppose if you convert the input into hash code by using hashing algorithm, we need to solve the complex mathematical model. Otherwise, we will not get the we cannot get the or retrieve the original data like this. Okay, so that is why we can say in blockchain the data will be insecure. So here I have given this example how this blockchain works. So here, suppose if you want to transact money from one person to another person. So once the transaction is done, the transaction data will be hashed. Okay, so the hashed information will be given to the miners. There are many, as I already mentioned, there are many miners in the blockchain network. So all miners will try to solve the mathematical puzzle to convert this hash code. Okay, so all miners will simultaneously work on this hash code. The miner who solved the problem first, so will get the benefit. Okay, so but at the same time, all workers are involving in solving the mathematical puzzle to retrieve the information. So once the miner any one of the miners solve the mathematical puzzle, that is the proof of work, then he will attach the proof of work along with the transaction to other miners. So here all miners will validate this transaction. Okay, so once they validate the transaction, yeah, once all the miners validate the transaction, then it will be added to the blockchain. Okay, so here in blockchain you can append data, and then you cannot change any data. So once the data is added into blockchain, it is permanent. You cannot change it. Okay, but for adding data itself, you have to go through all this process. Okay, you have to get the consensus from all these miners. So once validated, then only that particular transaction will be added into your blockchain. So this picture is also help you to understand how this blockchain works. So here there are four blocks. Each block has the transaction ID as well as the hash code of this block as well as hash code of the previous block. Okay, suppose if you want to get the, suppose the last block is block 4. Now you want to get the data of data from block 1. You cannot directly take data from block 1. You have to traverse across these all blocks by using this previous block code. Okay, so from block 1 you have to go to block 3. Likewise, from block 3 you have to go to block 2 by using the previous block hash code of the previous block. So likewise, you have to traverse across all these blocks, and then finally you can reach block 1, and then you can retrieve the data. Okay, so here key will be given to you if you are a part of the blockchain. If you are a stakeholder of the blockchain, private key will be given. So based on the key, you can retrieve your data. Okay, so modification and addition will be done only by the miners after validating the information. Similarly, you cannot break any of the chain. You cannot change the hash code of any of the blocks. Suppose if there is a possibility of changing the hash code of any blocks, then the hash code of the blocks of the following blocks will be disconnected from the chain. So, blockchain will never allow to change any hash code of that particular block. Okay. So here, various technologies involved in the blockchains are given here. Private key cryptography. So here, suppose if you want to retrieve your data, some private key will be given to the stakeholders of that blockchain. We can enter the private key and then you can retrieve the information. Okay, but you cannot modify any information. Okay, if you want to modify the information, then you have to get consensus from all the miners. Okay, so the private key is nothing but your password. Okay, so here you can share your mail account to everyone. Anyone can share information to you through your mail account, but they cannot come and enter into your mail account. Okay, so by using this password only, we can enter into our mail account. So the next one is P2P network. So this helps to maintain the consistency of the ledger network. So here in this picture you can see so the center ledger. This is a private ledger. Here you can see the transaction happens between all these four people, and these people consider that all these persons are the stakeholders of the blockchain. So here the person Andy gives Bobby to $5, and then Bobby gives $3 to Debbie, and Debbie gives $1 to Candy. Okay. So here the transaction between Bobby and Andy is ₹5, but the transaction, whatever the transaction data happens in this particular blockchain will be duplicated, and it is distributed across all the members of the blockchain. Okay, suppose if there is any problem in the database of this Bobby, he can retrieve from the other people. And here I have given the various types of blockchain. The blockchain could be public. So public means anyone can participate in the blockchain network, and anyone can add their transaction details. Anyone can verify. Anyone can retrieve the blockchain details, transaction details. One of the example is Bitcoin. The second type of blockchain is private. So in this case, only specified people of a particular organization is allowed to verify and add transaction blocks, and some privileges will be given. Okay, privileges will be given to each stakeholders, and then consortium is the other type of blockchain. Here, a group of a particular organization has the right to verify and then add the transactions. And permission, there is the other type is called permission. It is a mix of private and public blockchain. And some of the examples of blockchains are given here: Bitcoin, Ethereum. So these are all some of the examples of blockchain available in the market. So here, actually, the concept of blockchain was developed to support the Bitcoin, that is for financial services. So apart from financial services, blockchain is also used for the other industries like banking, payment and transfer, in healthcare industries, as well as law enforcement, IoT, voting, online music, and real estate. These are various use cases of blockchain. one of the use cases of real estate. So here we can see many problems in cities. So the same land is registered for multiple people. So for the same land, we can have many ownership. So those kind of fraudulence will be avoided by using this blockchain technology. So now we will see some of the IoT and blockchain use cases. So, so these benefits are already mentioned in the previous slide. So I'll skip this slide and I will directly go to the smart contract. Okay. So here, smart contract is a computer program which is written inside the blockchain. Okay. So this smart contracts helps to automate any transaction. Okay. So here in smart contract, the set of rules will be defined, and it gets approval from all the stakeholders, and then it is implemented as a automatic program, and it is integrated with the blockchain. Um, for example, suppose if you are working in a company and you are an inventory manager, and you are monitoring the inventory regularly. Suppose if it reaches the safety stock, if it is below the safety stock level, then you have to place an order. Okay. So this is so this is what the legacy inventory management. And now, if you introduce IoT and blockchain, the devices which are all integrated with the warehouse will continuously monitor the inventory level, and the smart contract. So here we can write smart contract like, if the inventory level falls below the safety stock, it will place the order for that particular item. Okay, and then it not only place the order, it also checks whether if the items are reached in the scheduled time, it automatically triggers the money to that particular supplier. Okay, so the entire process is completely automated by using this smart contract. And one more application is suppose if you got a project of 30 lakhs from some organization, and you are saying that you are going to execute the product in 3 different phases, and that particular organization is saying that you can get money in 3 installment after showing your progress. Okay, so now you are in the first uh, you are in the first phase. And suppose if you are working in the traditional system, like without IoT and without blockchain, suppose if the organization who gave you project is not satisfied, then they will not give you money, right, for the second phase and third phase. But the thing is, if they are not satisfied about your work, they will stop the funding. And here the problem is they cannot get the money for the first phase if the performance of that particular organizations on that particular project is not satisfied, they cannot get money back. But if you apply the smart contract and smart contract with IoT and blockchain, it will continuously monitor the project progress, and this will release the money in appropriate time. Suppose if it is not satisfied about that particular progress of the project, it will stop the money funding, as well as it will retrieve the money from their account. Okay, so this is possible in case of smart contracts. So some of the advantages of smart contracts are given here: cost saving, speed and accuracy, transparency and trust, and security and storage. So these are all the advantages of smart contracts. And similar to immutable transactions, we cannot simply go and change the rules whichever we have written in the smart contracts. Okay. So there are many features, good features in blockchain, but still there is some limitations in the blockchain. The first one is complexity. So here it is for the beginners, it is very difficult to understand because it involves a lot of mathematical calculation. And this blockchain is also involves some transaction cost, but it is lesser than the transaction cost whatever we have in the legacy, that is intermediary uh, uh, the system which we are using with intermediaries. We are giving brokerage charges, but the transaction cost, whatever we are incurring in the blockchain, is less than the traditional banking system. And then network speed, since here we have a network of people, and we have a copy of all the information is spread across various stakeholders. So the network speed is obviously less, okay, when compared to this hub and spoke model. And then there could be a chance of human error, and there is unavoidable security flaws. So here you can see 51% attack. So it means that I said earlier, suppose if you want to change, if you want to add any block, you have to get the consensus from all the miners. Okay. Now suppose there is a false transaction, and 51% of the miners approved this false transaction, and 49% of the miners approved the not approved the false transaction. Means here it will give more weightage to the more number of consensus. Okay, so there could be some chances that we can get some flaws in the blockchain system, and there is less awareness of from public side. And one more disadvantage is many people are not willing to share their data with other people. So these are some of the limitations of blockchain, even though it has many advantages. Shall I continue here? I have I have some use cases. Shall I continue? Or is there any time limit?
No,
the panelists.
There is no time limit, madam. You can continue, madam.
I can, okay. I'll finish in 10-15 minutes. I have
no problem, no problem. Take your own time, madam. No problem.
Okay, thank you. So here, so some of the use cases are given here. A small request to participants. So during my presentation, I couldn't view your queries. Suppose if you have any queries, you just make a note of it, and I have given my mail ID in my first slide. You can send me your queries. I can answer your questions. Okay. So there are many use cases with IoT and blockchain. The first use cases. So the first one is it is predominantly used in supply chain and logistics. So first we will understand what is supply chain. So supply chain is nothing but a chain of suppliers, manufacturers, distributors, and retailers and end customers, which make sure the delivery of products from supplier to end customers at right quantity, at right time. And okay, so here you can see the information flow of information and money. So here from supplier to end customer, there is a flow of material and information about the product, and from customers to suppliers, there is a flow of money and information about the orders. Okay, so this is a simple supply chain. Okay, but in real time, if you take a real any real time any real supply chain, it will be more complex. I'll explain the supply chain of automotive industry. So here, here you can see the typical automotive industry. So here I have given only few parts. To manufacture any car, it needs more than 10,000 parts. Okay, so here a few parts. Any OEMs of automotive industry manufacture only few parts. That is, they are only they are called as focused industries. So they are producing only few parts. For example, if you take a famous famous automotive company which has 110 years of 110 years older, it produces body parts, engine parts. Yeah, so it produces only these parts in house. It buys all other parts from the other suppliers. Those suppliers are spread across the globe. Okay, so to produce one car, we need at least 10,000 components, and there are more than 3,000 plus employees, suppliers spread across the globe. Here in this slide, I have given only few outsourcing parts. Okay, so this power here the powertrain and engine and body parts are produced in house. The other rest of the parts are outsourced from some other suppliers. So here I have listed powertrain, seat suppliers, tire suppliers, glass suppliers, and electronic suppliers. There are other parts but for understanding purpose, I have limited. Okay, and then so here all these suppliers, these are all called tier 1 suppliers, and these tier 1 suppliers got components from tier 2 suppliers and tier 3 suppliers, but we don't know whether how many tiers are there. Okay, so the visibility of this manufacturing company is limited to tier 1 supplier. Okay, there is no, they don't know the supplier of this tire supplier. Okay, they don't know the supplier of this glass supplier. Okay, and if you take the other side, the supply chain extends to dealers and the customers. Okay, so now for 5 parts, so just think about the complexity of the supply chain. So how much complex the supply chain of an automotive industry. So how much product flow happens, how much data information flow happens. You just think about the complexity of the supply chain. And so now coming to this point, so the major challenge in supply chain and logistics is end-to-end visibility. Visibility is the biggest problem now, and because of this COVID, all manufacturing industries are facing the visibility problem. For example, so in this case, if you take this glass supplier of this particular OEM, this supplier is located in Pune. Okay, in the month of till the month of February. Okay, till the month of till the month of February, this OEM is able to get glass parts from this supplier, and after this, no, after January, I think, yeah, after January, they are not able to deliver glass parts like headlights and then window glasses. So those kind of items they are not able to supply to this OEM. Okay, so now the OEM don't know who was the supplier of this glass. So after that, after they are not getting enough supply from glass suppliers, right? So now at that point in time, this OEM came to know that the supplier for this supplier is located in China. Okay, so because of this lockdown, this supplier at China were not able to deliver the raw materials for this glass supplier. So that is why the glass suppliers were not able to deliver the glass items, windows and headlights. Those items he is not able to deliver to the OEM. So till this January 2020, this OEM don't know who is the supplier for this glass for this particular glass supplier who was located in Pune. Okay, so now after this COVID, all OEMs are trying to find out the tier 1 and tier 2 and tier 3 suppliers of all these tier 1 suppliers. Okay, so now the visibility is the biggest problem. Since we don't have IoT and blockchain in the current automotive industry, we are facing this kind of issues. Okay. And then the second issue is delivery delays. Okay. So now I said if you take the same automotive industry, I said there are 3,000 employees who are all located in different parts of the countries, not in India, not only in India, they are located across the globe, right? Suppose if you take the supplier who is in New York, and if you take the OEM which is located in Chennai. Okay, so now the transit time through sea is almost 40 days. Okay, so we don't know what will happen in between these 40 days. Any natural calamities may happen, any disruption may happen. So they may have the scheduled expected arrival rate. OEM has the expected arrival rate for each orders, but if there is any disruption happens, then they have to plan accordingly. Okay, so in the legacy system, there is no device which captures or which tracks the movement of this containers. If you take the sea transportation, we don't have the facility to track the containers where it is actually located. Okay, so here every 2 weeks in automotive industry, the company which I'm saying is so every 15 days they are getting they are importing items from the foreign suppliers. Suppose if there is any delay, automatically it will affect the entire production schedule. Okay, say they should know the exact location of the particular fleet. Okay, so here this IoT and blockchain will come into picture. If we deploy this IoT and blockchain, it will completely track the position or location of that particular container, and it will convey the message to the OEM. So based on that, the OEM can take decision. Suppose if there could be any delay in the arrival of that particular container, then the OEM can take decision, and they will place the high priority order. So here the term high priority order means they will suppose if the item is very crucial for that particular production slot, they may ready to spend more amount. So instead of this sea transport, they may order to the customer, supplier, and they request to send those items through airway. So that kind of order is called high priority order. So here the lead time is very less. So here the lead time is only at max of 3 days. Okay, but if you transport items through sea line, it may take at least 30 days. Okay, so this integration of IoT and blockchain will definitely reduce the delivery delays. Okay, and the lack of transparency is one of the other disadvantage of the other problem in any supply chain. So here transparency. So already we discussed, right? By using blockchain, we can achieve transparency. So one of the problem, since I was working with an automotive industry, we found many problems because of this transparency. So one of such problem is so there is a data source called Common Material Management System. So in that system, there are the list of all parts will be displayed. Okay, if they are using 10,000 parts, all the parts will be displayed in that common material management system, and in the database along with the part list, you can have the dimensions of each part, and what is the current inventory status of the each part, and is there any order release happened, and what time that particular order happened, and is there any in transit in transit inventory. So those kind of informations will be available in the common material management system. So apart from these information, there is one more column called status of the product. Okay, so in the status of the product, there are two values. One is active and inactive. Suppose if the particular parts status is inactive, then we cannot use that part for production of that particular slot on that day. Okay, so here the problem is, suppose if I place the order 2 months back, and it is about to it is about to receive tomorrow. Okay, so now today, if any design department changes the status from active to inactive, then tomorrow only I will get the product, right? So I cannot use those products. Okay, so here the problem is there is no transparency between the purchase department and design department. Okay, so while before changing the dimensions or before changing the status of the product, the design department has to get consensus from the purchase department, whether are there any orders are in transit or not. So without getting approval from the purchase department, they will go and simply change the status of the product. Okay, so if they change the status of the product today, and the one particular lot of that particular part is arriving tomorrow. Okay, so now tomorrow they cannot use this particular lot of parts because of the status. So because of this, that particular automotive company is losing approximately $300 million because of this. So those parts are called as obsolescence part, which is not usable. Okay, because of the status change, we cannot use this part for producing the car. Okay, so the lack of transparency is the biggest problem in supply chain. So that can be avoided by using IoT and blockchain. Okay, so now you are able to understand what are the problems in the industries and how we can rectify those challenges using IoT and blockchain. Okay, so now the various sensors which will help us to monitor the movement of containers or freights, or motion sensors, GPS, temperature sensors, and connected devices. Here, suppose if you want to maintain any temperature for that particular part, then temperature sensors will alert us whether are they maintaining the particular temperature or not. So one of the company, Golden State Foods, so they offer this solution, blockchain with IoT. They are using this blockchain with IoT in their daily operations. So this is a company who are distributing manufactured food items across 125 restaurants. So if you take any food industry, quality is one of the important parameter that we have to taken care of. So to maintain the quality, they are using this IoT and blockchain. Okay. So next application is automotive. Other one of the other applications is automotive industry. Here, this is called smart parking. Okay. So here, the IoT devices are integrated into the parking slot. So it will identify the vacant parking, and it will identify the car which requires parking, and then it sends signals to that particular vehicle, which allocates parking facility to that car. And here smart contract will also help to pay automatically to the parking agent based on the how long this particular car is parked in this particular place. Okay. So one of Net Objects is one of the company who offers smart parking lot applications. So this already we discussed, right? So we can, so if you take the logistics value chain from supplier to lead logistic, the items will come from the suppliers to lead logistic providers, and then from lead logistic providers, it will go to origin customs, and then the items will be transferred to ocean carrier, and then it will come to the destination customs, and then finally, after reaching the destination place, it will not directly go to the OEMs. So it will go to the lead logistic providers. From there, all imported items will be transported to OEMs. So any parts, so look at the how the part is flowing through all these entities. So here you can use appropriate IoT technology to monitor the movement of each and every part. Okay. So this is a conceptual framework that I have developed along with my student using IoT and blockchain, but this is not yet implemented. So this is under conceptual mode, and some other applications are smart homes. This already we discussed. So one of the company which offers smart homes are Telstra to improve the security of the homes. The next one is a sharing economy. Okay. So here sharing economy means you can share the asset. For example, suppose if I have a car and I'm using the car for only 3 days, the remaining 4 days of the particular week, the car is standing idle. So I can use those. I can use the car for the other 4 days by leasing the car to others. Okay. So this is called as sharing economy. That you can use the ideal asset to generate revenues. Okay. So here you can see here in this picture, you can see here you can do ride sharing, or you can do space sharing, or you can do bicycle sharing. Now it is in under different pillars. Once you implement IoT and blockchain, you can have a common platform. So irrespective of the asset to be shared, you can share all kinds of asset to this common platform. So one of such application is Lockit. So they have a universal sharing network. So in this network, you can share all of your asset. It could be bicycle, or it could be your room, or it could be your home, or it could be your four-wheelers, anything. If you want to share your economy, you can use this platform. Okay. So here the smart contracts will help you for data privacy, as well as transferring money from your client to you without any intermediaries. So this is the other blockchain and IoT application. And then it is also used in pharmacy industry. So in pharmacy industry, you can see this counterfeit medicines. Okay, and there is many people. Um, uh, the same ownership is divided into many people. So those kind of things can be avoided. So within the same name, by simply changing one letter or two letters, they are selling the medicine with the same name. So those kind of counterfeit products will be discarded by using IoT and blockchain. And one of such example with the blockchain and IoT is MediLedger. Okay, so they designed to track the legal change of ownership. So here from manufacturer to dispenser, there could be multiple ownership, and we can verify the ownership whether they have really got the ownership or not. Those kind of things you can verify, and the payment process will be simplified. Okay, and you can completely stop the counterfeiting drugs. I think I am running out of time. So in 5 minutes, yeah, I'll come to the last part. So here in agriculture also we can use IoT and blockchain. Uh, so here there are some benefits of using IoT and blockchain in agriculture. It improves the soil and the crop quality. It ensures the food safety, and you can resell the crops before by using the forward contract. Okay. So these are the benefits of using IoT in blockchain in agricultural industry or food chain. We can call it as food supply chain. And now we will see the role of data analytics in IoT and blockchain. So by using IoT, you are getting huge chunks of data, and simply if you are getting data means there is no use. You have to properly use the data. So here data analytics comes into picture. So here you can use any types of data analytics. It could be descriptive data analytics. It could be diagnostic. It could be predictive, or it could be prescriptive. Some more data analytics are streaming data analytics and spatial data analytics. So these techniques helps to convert the information, the raw information available from these devices into useful insights. Okay, so descriptive analytics, which helps you to tell what happened, and diagnostic analytics informs us how it happened, and predictive analytics helps us to identify what will happen. Okay, and then the prescriptive analytics helps us to take decisions. So how can we do it, like the things we can do it. And then streaming analytics, so this will directly collect the real time data, and it will give insights to the applications. One of the example is traffic monitoring and spatial analytics. So this wherever we are using location based data, we can use this analytics. This is predominantly used in this logistic industries, and then it is also used in smart parking systems. Okay. So here uh, here you can see what is the opportunities of this IoT and data analytics. So in 2020, it is expected to have more than $30 billion is going to be invested for blockchain, IoT and blockchain. So you have more opportunity in this area, data analytics and then IoT. And so in it is expected that this investment in this particular area will grow up to 771 billion dollars in 2026. So there is a huge opportunity for this data analytics and IoT with the blockchain. And some of the industries already started to implement this IoT and blockchain. Some of the examples are food industry, healthcare industry, and manufacturing industry, but not but it is still in the nation stage. We may expect many more opportunities in this field. So I will conclude my talk here. If you have any queries, you can ask me now, or you can send me a mail. My email ID is kalpana@iitdm.ac.in. Okay. So thank you for your. I would like to extend my thanks to NDRF for giving me this wonderful opportunity. If you have any queries? or you can send me a mail. If you have any queries on this, you can send me a mail.
We hope students have immensely benefited from your talk.
Shall I stop here?
I think with this, we will conclude the session.
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity, and my special thanks to Dr. Dilli Babu sir, who offered this opportunity. So thank you so much, and your team.
Thank you very much, madam. Thank you very much. Okay, students, then we'll meet tomorrow with a new session. Thank you.